Yes, we can, Madam President. Trustee Abraham. Trustee Chamalave. Trustee Senior is absent. Mayor Thompson. Trustee Shelby.
Here.
Trustee Armour. Trustee Miller. And Madam President, we do have a quorum. Can we all please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I will now read the Pledge of Civility. In the interest of civility, I pledge to promote civility by listening, being respectful of others, acknowledging that we are all striving to support and improve our community, and understanding that we each may have different ideas for achieving that objective. Now, may we please have a moment of silence. Thank you. Item 2 is public comment. We have none. At this time, I'd like to have a motion from the board to allow Mayor Thompson to participate electronically due to business.
I make a motion that Mayor Thompson participate in this meeting due to business. I need a second.
It's been properly motioned by Trustee Armour, seconded by Trustee Abraham to allow Mayor Thompson to participate remotely due to business. I'll take a roll call. Trustee Abraham. Yes. Trustee Chamalave. Yes. Trustee Senior is absent. Trustee Shelby.
Yes.
Trustee Armour.
Yes.
Trustee Miller.
Yes.
And this carries 5-0 to allow Mayor Thompson to remotely participate. Thank you all. Next is communications, but before we start communications, I believe we have a video presentation that we will play on the screen for our Juneteenth celebration. So if everybody wants to look up or look in the audience, we'll get the video started. Located at 8601 Roosevelt Road, in Forest Park at the PMS Sacred Auditorium. Dive into the future of communication with Parents Square. Join us to hear more from Felicia Lee, District 209's Technology Integration Coordinator. Next, Shop Talk, sharing hope, overcoming pressure. For the fellas aged 17 to 24, this is happening Sunday, May 26th, from 5 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. over at 1109 West Roosevelt in Maywood at the Naps Barbershop. Free haircuts on a first-come, first-served basis. Free food until it's gone. Free resources on education, trade, apprenticeships, jobs, housing, drug rehabilitation, mental health, and other supports. Registered by email at constituent services 1 STEIST @gmail.com, or you can call 312-603-4566. Next, a 3-day event, Juneteenth, African American and the Arts, June 14th through 16th, featuring DJ Ron Steele all 3 days and the mistress of ceremonies, Broadview's very own Miss Manisha Owens, aka Yas Hunter. Friday, June 14th, we'll be celebrating family, meet and greet youth night. That's from 6 till 10. Saturday, June 15th, Celebration of Freedom Festival, R&B night, noon till 10, with our headliner, Creole Hub Experience, and a special guest, Maurice Mahone. Then on Sunday, Celebration of Freedom Festival Blues Night, noon till 9 p.m. And our headliner that evening will be Soul to the Bone, and we will end the night with fireworks at 9 p.m. or dusk. Next, Moves with the Mayor. Mayor Katrina Thompson, every Saturday at 9 a.m., weather permitting. Health is your wealth. First Move with the Mayor event will be this coming Saturday at May 25th. The meeting place will assemble in the parking lot of Edmund F. Lindop School and embark on a 1-hour walk. And finally, join us for the Law Enforcement Torch Run for Special Olympics, Saturday, June 22nd, 2024 at 8 a.m. We'll gather in Forest Park, and at 8:30 a.m. the run begins. This is to include members of law enforcement and family runners only. Join us to cheer on our runners. And that concludes our communications. All right. Next is item 4, consideration to approve the following minutes. Minutes from the May 6, 2024 regular board meeting. Motion to approve.
I second.
It was properly motioned by Trustee Abraham, seconded by Trustee Shelby. Madam President, your floor.
Thank you. Trustee Abraham, do you have any questions or comments?
No, none.
Trustee Chamalave?
No question?
Trustee Shelby?
No questions.
Trustee Armour?
I'd like to make a motion to table these minutes into our next meeting. I just got them like this afternoon at 3:30, and I haven't had a chance to go through it. I need
So then you would need to do a superseding motion because it's a motion on the floor already.
Okay, I would like to make a superseding motion that these minutes be tabled into our next meeting.
Second.
Okay, it's been properly superseding motion by Trustee Armour, seconded by Trustee Miller, to table these minutes until the next meeting. I'll take a roll call. Trustee Abraham?
Yes.
Trustee Chamalave?
Yes.
Trustee Senior is absent. Trustee Shelby?
Yes.
Trustee Armour?
Yes.
Trustee Miller?
Yes.
And this carries 5-0 to table until the next meeting. Thank you all. Before we go on to the next item in order, let's go back to number 2, public comments. And just so you know, I didn't see any and it threw me off. So item 2 is public comments. I don't have anything, so we'll now proceed to the second set of minutes. Minutes from the April 15th, 2024 regular board meeting. These were tabled from the last meeting. Need a motion.
Motion to approve. Second.
Properly motion by Trustee Miller, seconded by Trustee Shelby. Madam President?
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Trustee Abraham, you have any questions or comments about these minutes?
No, none.
Trustee Chamalave?
No questions.
Trustee Shelby?
No questions.
Trustee Armor?
No questions.
Trustee Miller?
No.
Mr. Clerk?
Okay, roll call. Trustee Abraham.
Yes.
Trustee Chamalave.
Yes.
Trustee Senior absent. Trustee Shelby.
Yes.
Trustee Armor.
No.
Trustee Miller.
Yes.
And these minutes carry 4-1 with one, 4-0 with one abstention. Thank you all.
4-1.
Next is, huh?
It's still 4-1. She said
Oh,
no.
you know what? It wasn't no extension. I'm sorry. Thank you, Trustee Miller, for the correction. Once again, these minutes pass 4-1. Next, item 5, consideration to approve expenditures, grand total of all funds, $409,673.57 for the period ending 5/14/2024.
Motion to approve. Second.
It's been properly motioned by Trustee Abraham, seconded by Trustee Chamalave. Madam President.
Thank you. Finance Chairwoman, Trustee Shelby, will you please read the warrant list?
Okay, this is the warrant list of May 14th, 2024. The vendors are Air One Equipment Incorporated, the amount of $21,440. L. Warren Oral Company Incorporated, in the amount of $25,800.26. AT&T, $30,162.23. B&F Construction Code Services, $12,518.87. Baker Tilly US LLP, in the amount of $5,075. CSR Roofing Contractors Incorporated, in the amount of $142,279.67. David Ownsby Incorporated, $3,000. Electrical Resource Management Incorporated, in the amount of $13,200. Elevated Safety, in the amount of $4,621.08. Fire Service Incorporated, $10,447.93. Geno's Heating and Plumbing Incorporated, $35,984.20. Moscow Design, in the amount of $7,705.50. Northwestern University, in the amount of $4,500. Pipe View LLC, in the amount of $2,920. SVC Waste Solutions, in the amount of $2,625. Seven Generations Ahead, in the amount of $19,023. Site One Landscape Supply, in the amount of $5,192.08. Tier Point LLC, in the amount of $2,511.31. Tran US Incorporated, in the amount of $26,936. And Verizon Wireless, in the amount of $4,320.32, which is 93% of our total expenditures. The total expenditure over $2,500 came to $380,262.45, which is 93% of our total expenditures, in the amount of $409,673.57. We had a manual payment, and the vendor was U.S. Postmaster. The date was May 9th, 2024. Check number 86251, in the amount of $11,322. The following accounts that were affected by these expenditures: we have the general fund account in the amount of $218,729.64. The garbage fund in the amount of $2,625. The motor fuel tax fund in the amount of $98.58. The capital projects fund in the amount of $142,279.67. And the water and sewage fund in the amount of $45,940.70, again for a grand total of $409,673.57. And Madam Mayor, that concludes my report.
Thank you, Trustee Shelby. Trustee Abraham, do you have any questions?
No, none.
Trustee Chalmalave?
I have no question.
Trustee Shelby?
No questions.
Trustee Armor?
On the warrant list, I do have some comments for consideration for updates to this report. For the warrant list that Trustee Shelby just went through so eloquently, I have a total of expenditures over $2,500 at the exact amount that she said, $380,262.45. And then the other items that are under $2,500, my grand total was $32,411.12, and which totals $412,673.57. There is, and I did this 3 times. There is a variance of there is a variance of $3,000 between those two numbers. And it does not include the Chase credit card. So if it would have included the Chase credit card, I have a total of $423,995.57 for total expenditures. So that's what I've got.
Okay, thank you, Trustee. Tell us where your discrepancy is, because you just read off a bunch of numbers that we read off. So tell us exactly where the discrepancy is
I
at.
couldn't find it.
I'm sorry?
I couldn't find it. But
okay.
yeah, but I used the information that I was sent, and it doesn't balance.
Okay, thank you. Trustee Miller?
Okay, do you know which, like, did you review the funds to see maybe if you can narrow it down through that process? Okay, I don't have any questions. I'm just concerned that Trustee Armour has a discrepancy. But no questions.
Can you repeat the end, Trustee Miller? I didn't hear the end.
I said no questions. I was just concerned with her discrepancy.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Clerk, can we get a roll call vote, please?
Mayor, do you mind me asking for the record what those two numbers, the discrepancy was once again?
Yeah.
Trustee Armour, please.
The discrepancy, I believe, is
The amount.
among the amounts that are under $2,500. That grand total that I got 3 times is $32,411.12. And it does not include any credit card, which brings the total amount for the warrant list including the lower amounts to $412,673.57.
Okay, thank you. Madam President, I'll now do a roll call per your request. Trustee Abraham?
Yes.
Trustee Chamalave?
Yes.
Trustee Senior, absent. Trustee Shelby?
Yes.
Trustee Armour?
No.
Trustee Miller?
I'm going to abstain.
Okay, Madam President, these bills carry 3-1 with 1 abstention.
Thank you.
Oh, you know what, Mayor? Can I please have your vote for the record?
I'm sorry?
Can I have your vote, please?
Yes.
Okay, I got you for yes, so now it's 4-1 with 1 abstention. Thank you. Next is item 6, application for the authority to expend funds totaling $17,597 for Valor Systems, and this is for the fire department.
Motion to approve.
It's been properly motioned by Trustee Shelby, seconded by Trustee Abraham. Madam President?
Thank you. Chief Frank, you want to tell us about the purchase order?
Good evening, Mayor, village officials, residents, and guests.
Good evening.
Good evening.
This is a budgeted and approved purchase. It's for the Ike Dispatch Center. It will give upgrades to the center that will enable them to increase their operational efficiencies, reporting critical information directly to the firefighter paramedics in the field, to their laptops, and to their mobile devices. and I will entertain any questions if you have it.
Trustee Abraham, you have any questions?
No, I do not.
Trustee Tomalave?
I do not.
Trustee Shelby?
No questions.
Trustee
No
Allen?
questions.
Trustee Miller?
Okay, we had this same PO, in April for $27,677. So what's the difference now in what we're upgrading?
The difference, ma'am, is that after we had a meeting with the contractor, we discovered that they did not need to do some things that they had quoted for. So that's why it was reduced by, was that like $10,000 or something?
10,000, yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so the original purchase order didn't go through after it was approved, and now this is a new
No,
one?
ma'am, the original purchase order was not brought before the board.
It was in April, that's what I just quoted.
It wasn't brought for a vote.
So trustee Miller, the previous PO was not a part of the agenda, and it was included in your board packet. So maybe that's where the confusion is at, but it was not on the agenda for board approval.
Okay, so it was removed off of the agenda items, that was my kind of question.
No, it was never added to the agenda.
Okay, I'll go back, because I see it on the agenda in April for $27,677.
It was not on the agenda, ma'am.
Okay.
It was just in your board packet.
Okay.
But it was not
We
on your agenda.
We can carry on. Thank you.
No, you're welcome. Mr. Clerk?
Roll call. Trustee Abraham.
Yes.
Trustee Chamalave.
Yes.
Trustee Senior is absent. Trustee Shelby.
Yes.
Trustee Armour.
Yes.
Trustee Miller.
Abstain.
And this carries 4-0 with one abstention. Thank you all. Next, item 7, village officer reports, which are given at each second meeting of the month, starting with our building department, Commissioner Upshaw, who is not with us today. Reporting in his stead is Mr. Aaron Hanna.
Good evening, Mayor, trustees, and Broadview community. My name again is Aaron Hanna. I'm standing on behalf of Mr. David Upshaw in his absence. Our building report is on file in the mayor's office and with the clerk's office as well. For the month of April 2024, the Village of Broadview Building Department had approximately $63,285.25 in revenue. Also, 13 citations were issued regarding contractor registration, permits, signage, and property maintenance. Currently, the Village of Broadview has several construction projects underway. Housing Forward, which is located at 1014 through 1020 Roosevelt Road, that project has been completed. Iron Workers Local 63, 2525 Lexington, that project is underway as well. We have Helios, which is located at 2150 Parks. That project is underway and is currently in phase 2. Chick-fil-A, 3300 Village Square, that demo and civil review is underway. Vanny Foods, 2759 at South 25th Avenue, that addition is on its way as well. Village of Broadview, the 2350 South 25th Avenue, the fence has been completed. Vibro Dynamics, 2443 Braga Drive, that project is underway. Uncle Reamer's, 1801 Roosevelt Road, project is underway. And last but not least, Clear Channel at 2700 Roosevelt Road, that is completed as well. If you have any questions, I will entertain them at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Hanna. Trustee Abraham, you have any questions or comments?
I just have a comment of a new family that had moved in and wasn't aware of permits, and I do want to thank the building department for coming out there. Mr. Aaron, if you want to cover that. I guess they thought a simple fence, they didn't need a permit, they didn't need anything to be checked, but they were able to educate them what needs to be done. So thank you for guys for taking care of that.
No problem at all, trustee.
That's it. End of my
Thank
comment.
Thank you, Trustee Abraham. Trustee Tomalave?
I have no question.
Thank you, Trustee Shelby.
No questions.
Trustee Armour?
No questions.
Thank you, Trustee Miller.
No questions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next is the Finance Department, Finance Director Tom Hood.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and trustees.
Good evening.
My finance report has been filed with the mayor's office and the clerk's office. Just wanted to point out a couple things. Since the last time we did this, I have made those transfers. So the surplus, before we get through the audit here, is $2.2 million for fiscal '24. And there's many reasons behind that, but we will probably go into more detail when we discuss the results in detail. The other thing that I would point out is there is a large negative number in the Roosevelt TIF of 2.8 million, or 2.3 million, but remember, we moved $3.25 million out of that TIF into the new TIF. And you will see that the 21st and Roosevelt TIF has a $3.2 million balance in it. And that's where that money, the negative in the old Roosevelt TIF, shows up in the new TIF. Are there any questions?
Thank you, Director Hood. Trustee Abraham, do you have any questions or comments?
No questions.
Thank you, Trustee Chapman. No questions. Thank you, Trustee Shelby.
No questions.
Thank you, Trustee Armour.
Tom, could you repeat the surplus amount and also the amount that was moved to the new TIF? And the new TIF, did you say that was 21st Street?
It's 21st and 17th Avenue. It replaced the old 17th Avenue North TIF, and most of the Roosevelt TIF is going away except for what we cut off and put into the new TIF.
Can you repeat those amounts, please?
Yes, so it was $3,250,000 was transferred from the Roosevelt TIF to the new TIF, and that's primarily to cover the streetscape project. It's been in works for several years now, but we just haven't got to it yet. And then the other number was 2.2 million surplus in the general fund.
Got it. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
That's it?
Thank you, Trustee Armour. Trustee Miller.
No questions.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk.
All right, thank you. Next, we'll have the Fire Department, Fire Chief Derek Bryant.
Good evening once again.
Good evening.
The fire department's report is on file with the mayor and clerk's office. We responded to 274 incidents this past month. That was down 7% from April of 2023. Our hospital contracts revenue for EMS, we brought in $59,356. For our fire contracts, we brought in $40,792.63. I'll entertain any questions if you have them.
Thank you, Chief Brian. Trustee Abraham.
No questions.
Trustee Chapman.
No questions.
Trustee Shelby.
No questions.
Thank you, Trustee Armour.
No questions.
Thank you, Trustee Miller.
No questions.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk.
Thank you. Next, we'll have the Police Department, Police Chief Thomas Mills.
Good evening, Mayor, trustees, village
Good evening.
residents, everyone in attendance. For the April 2024 month report has been, the mayor's office has it, as well as the village clerk. Just a couple of highlights. During the month of April 2024, members of the Broadview Police Department responded to 1,172 calls for service as compared to 1,173 in March for 1.8% of a decrease. The Ike Communication Center received 3,126 calls for service compared to 3,090 for a 1.16% increase. We celebrated the Ike 911 Center Telecommunicators National Telecommunicators Week, April 14th through 19th. Administrator Jones and myself with Chief Willis from Maywood, they came over. We bought our telecommunicators, both Broadview and Maywood. We treated them to nice lunches, gave them some goodie bags, and it was a good time by all. Our 3 recruits from Celia graduated. They are now in their FTO training. We have 2 females, 1 male, and they are doing a great job. Also, we had a Police and Fire Commission meeting, and they approved the hiring of 3 laterals, 1 from Chicago Police Department, 1 from Park Forest, and 1 from Plainfield. We did the interviews. They were recorded, and all of the members of the Police and Fire Commission was able to come in and view the interview process, and they were pleased with it. So they should be coming aboard within the next 2 weeks, and that's all I have at this time.
Thank you, Chief Mills. Trustee Abraham, you have any questions?
Just a comment, congratulations, that we'll be adding 6 new
Yes, ma'am.
patrol officers, so it's grateful for that. I do have one comment. I know we've talked about it when someone's missing a dog and they're
Yes.
posting signs up on posts. Can kind of cover that, what they need to do is just call the police department, am I right?
Yes. Yes, our dispatchers, they're well aware. We have tried, I know our Director Frank Reyes is very pro animals. So like I said, he posts a lot of things on the Broadview Police Department's social media, which is Facebook, what to do. And then, of course, every time we pick up a dog, we normally keep it here for about 4 hours. And if they, if they're chipped, we can find out who the person, but if not, we'll turn them over to our Broadview vet, who will house the dog for us. Yes, on 17th Avenue. But we try to keep them here for most people, like I said, so they don't have to incur any costs by going over to the vet center. So, but before, if they close, then we're stuck with them overnight and things like that. So,
Thank you.
yes, ma'am.
Okay. Those are my comments, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Trustee Chamalave.
No question.
Thank you, Trustee Shelby.
No questions.
Thank you, Trustee Armour.
I don't have any questions, but I just want to say the report looks a lot better.
Thank you, ma'am. We're still tweaking.
Yeah. That's it.
Thank you, Trustee Armour. Trustee Miller.
No questions.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk.
All right, next we'll have, thank you, Chief. Next we'll have the Public Works Department Director, Matt Ames.
Good evening, everyone.
Good
Good
evening.
evening.
Good evening.
Thank you, Chief Mills, for that reminder about the postings of lost pets. So, Public Works position is enforcement of the ordinances. That is, folks that lose pets, please do not tape your pet's picture on any of the fixtures or furnitures in the Village of Broadview. Light posts, utility posts, benches, utility boxes. We want to help you locate your pet, but it is against the village ordinance to deface any of our public property. Okay? So,
Can you repeat that, please? What you just said, that last thing you just said? I didn't hear you.
to deface public property,
Oh, I got it now. Thank
right?
you.
So oftentimes folks have pets that they want the neighborhood to help identify, and we want to help do that, but oftentimes when you take some of the adhesives and tapes that they use to post on a light post, they deface it permanently, okay?
Got
So,
it.
thank you, Chief. You all have our report for the month of April, I believe, on file. I know it is with the mayor's and the clerk's office. Just a couple highlights. One of the things that we found to be a growing success is our Earth Day with our elementary school fourth graders. And so this year, we had more than 70 participating students, plus the support staffs from both Roosevelt and Lemdot School come over and help us provide some education to the young people about keeping a clean and sustainable community. So the resurface of Beach Street is about 70% complete. We've also began the CBGD resurface projects in the 2100 block of 20th, 21st, and 22nd Avenue. I will also point out, I believe one of the residents, who happens to be a trustee over in the area, just wanted to make sure that we got information about the recycles. So those individuals that live in those resurfaced areas, please place your recycle cans in the alley as the streets will be under construction. So the refuse provider will collect those cans from the alley for the duration of the construction project. Other than that, I will conclude my report, Mayor, and entertain any questions or comments at this time.
Are you with us, Mayor?
Mayor?
Yes. Trustee Abraham, do you have any questions or comments?
Just a comment, thank you for that reminder about putting up the signs of the lost pet. I mean, I've seen it on our stop signs as well in the area, so thank you for reminding. That's it. End of the comment.
That's a reminder.
Thank you. Trustee Chamalave?
Just a question, I was just wanting some background on this reimbursement. When is
Can you speak into the mic and louder, please?
this? The Mullins?
Yeah,
Reimbursement?
actually, it was not Mullins, but it was Vanny Food. So reimbursements for some of the supplies and the Public Works labor hours as it relates to an oil spill, actually a diesel spill, from a fire that occurred on their private property. And our efforts was to make sure that none of it went into the storm system, okay? Once that was successful, we presented Vanny Foods with a bill, and they paid it, or at least the insurance provider, so that's the reimbursement.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Trustee Shelby?
No questions.
Thank you. Trustee Armour?
No questions.
Thank you. Trustee Miller?
I had a question. No, never mind, no questions.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Clark?
All right, thank you. Next, we have the Administrative Department, Village Administrator Letisa Jones.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, trustees,
Good evening.
and those are in attendance. I just want to thank the mayor and also the trustees. Thank you again for supporting our summer youth. That is on the way. Applications are due in by May 31st. So we have, right now, we have 10 applications. So we're taking 20 young people, ages 14 to 15. So we've gotten great reviews, so I thank you, Mayor and trustees. Also, we have interviews going on now in Public Works for our seasonal help. So I do appreciate Director Ames and his team for that. And then lastly, we just finished our employment customer service training. That was in the month of April, and all employees are trained on providing great customer service. So I do appreciate all of the department heads with that. Mayor, that concludes my report.
Thank you. Trustee Abraham, do you have any questions?
No questions.
Thank you. Trustee Chamalave?
No question.
Thank you. Trustee Shelby?
No questions.
Thank you. Trustee Armour?
No questions. No questions.
Trustee Armour?
No questions.
Thank you. Trustee Miller?
No,
Thank you.
Thank you,
Mr.
Mayor.
Clark?
Okay, that concludes our village officer reports. Next is item 8, old business. We have none. Next, item 9, new business. A resolution authorizing and approving expenses related to the trustee Judy Miller and trustee Patricia Chalmalave's attendance at the National Black Caucus Local Elected Official, which is NBC Leo, Summer Conference for the Village of Broadview, County of Cook, State of Illinois.
Motion to approve.
second.
It's been properly motioned by trustee Chamalave, seconded by trustee Miller. Madam President?
Thank you. This summer conference is in the budget for the trustees. The conferences will be held June 25th through June 28th in Chicago. The registration fee per trustee is $375, and lodging is $807 per person for the 3 days. This is in our budget. We do it. The trustees are allowed to attend summer conferences, IML conference, and the National League of Cities conference every year. Trustee Abraham, do you have any questions or comments?
None.
Trustee Chamalave?
Done.
Trustee Shelby?
No questions.
Trustee Armour?
No questions.
Trustee Miller?
No,
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Can we get a roll call, please?
Yes, we can, Madam President. Trustee Abraham?
Yes.
Trustee Chamalave?
Yes.
Trustee Senior is absent. Trustee Shelby?
Yes.
Trustee Armour?
Yes.
Trustee Miller?
yes,
And Madam President, this carries 5-0. Thank you all. Next item B, a resolution authorizing and approving an agreement with Edwin Hancock Engineering Company for certain design and construction engineering services related to the preparation of Phase 1 project development report for the Roosevelt Road East streetscape improvements for the Village of Broadview, County of Cook, State of Illinois.
Motion to approve.
Second.
It's been properly motioned by Trustee Abraham, seconded by Trustee Chalmalavi. Madam President, open for discussion.
Thank you. Director Ames, you want to tell us about this IGA with the Village of Maywood?
Yes, Mayor, what I'd like to do is, because B and C are related to each other, item B and item C as it relates to the agenda.
Can you speak up because I can't hear you?
I was informing the board that items B and C are pretty much part of the same narrative that I'm about to provide. So in our attempts to do a streetscape on Roosevelt Road from 17th Avenue East to our boundaries, which is 9th Avenue on the south side and 13th Avenue on the north side, IDOT pushed back because of what they deemed inadequate symmetry. So they wanted to see some cohesiveness down the corridor from 17th Avenue to 9th Avenue. Hence, the conversation was raised to partner with Maywood to see if we could achieve that approval with IDOT and Coordination Committee by a partnership or an agreement. Maywood agreed to allow Broadview to be the lead agency for the Phase 1 engineering study. At this point, this is the only thing that we have. Construction will be coming later on, but obviously that's a whole nother conversation. But for the purpose of the agenda items here, this is mainly for engineering design to make sure that IDOT approves of the symmetry and the cohesiveness of the project, for which they already have given their blessings. They was, again, rejecting our portion or design of the project because it didn't extend to 9th Avenue on the north side of the street, which is Maywood's authority or jurisdiction. So that's how agenda items B and C came about. As it relates to the intergovernmental agreement, I would defer to the village attorney, Ms. Jaworski, to explain that portion to the board. She, I know, reviewed it, redlined it, and some other things, so.
Yes, I'm just pulling it up really quickly. But while I'm doing that, I can just tell the board that it's a pretty standard intergovernmental agreement. It has some cost sharing as it relates to anything that is on the Maywood side, Maywood pays. Anything that's on the Broadview side, Broadview pays. If it's something that's in the middle that both parties have to pay, then again, you know, there's a cost sharing element to that. Other than that, it's a fairly standard intergovernmental agreement. It keeps the obligations on the respective parties, and it works towards completion of the overall streetscape project. And again, this does go hand in hand with the engineering agreement. And originally, the engineering agreement for Broadview was obviously just for the Broadview side of the costs. But now that Maywood's been brought into the dance, if you will, Maywood's going to pay for their half of the engineering costs.
Well said. Mayor, that's our narrative.
Okay, thank you. So the IGA, because of the IGA and the partnership and collaboration with the Village of Maywood, the cost went up. So originally, our cost for the streetscape for Phase 1 was $171,000. Adding Maywood into this, because it benefits us to do it simultaneously at the same time, because this is what I got access to do, the cost for Maywood side is $88,864.95. bringing the total amount for the project of $259,864.65. And so that $88,864.95 will be reimbursed by the Village of Maywood to the Village of Broadview. Trustee Abraham, do you have any questions or comments?
No, none.
Trustee Chalmalave?
No question.
Trustee Shelby?
No questions.
Trustee Armour?
You answered my questions. Thank you.
You're welcome. Trustee Miller?
Nope, same.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Can we get a roll call, please?
Yes, we can, Madam President. Trustee Abraham?
Yes.
Trustee Chamalave?
Yes.
Trustee Senior is absent. Trustee Shelby?
Yes.
Trustee Armour?
Yes.
Trustee Miller?
Yes.
Thank you all. Madam President, this carries 5-0. Next, item C, a resolution authorizing and approving an intergovernmental agreement between the Village of Broadview and the Village of Maywood related to the Roosevelt Road East streetscape improvements for the Village of Broadview, County of Cook, State of Illinois.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Who made the second?
Trustee Armour.
Okay, thank you. Been properly motioned by Trustee Abraham, seconded by Trustee Armour. Madam President?
Thank you. So this is, item C is the approving of the intergovernment agreement. So we just approved the engineering cost, which encompassed the $259,864.65. This is the IGA between the Village of Broadview and the Village of Maywood, which Director Ames had gave the information prior to this. So Trustee Abraham, do you have any questions or comments?
No, none.
Thank you. Trustee Chamalave?
No question.
Trustee Shelby?
No questions.
Trustee Armour?
No questions.
Trustee Miller?
No.
Mr. Clerk?
Roll call. Trustee Abraham.
Yes.
Trustee Chamalave.
Yes.
Trustee Senior is absent. Trustee Shelby.
Yes.
Trustee Armour.
Yes.
Trustee Miller.
Yes.
And this carries 5-0. Thank you all. Next item D, a resolution authorizing the village president to enter multiple lease agreements and maintenance agreements with Enterprise Fleet Management for the Village of Broadview, County of Cook, State of Illinois.
Motion to approve.
Second.
It's been properly motioned by Trustee Abraham, seconded by Trustee Chamalave. Madam President?
Thank you. Director Hood, you want to tell us about these lease agreements?
Good evening.
Good evening.
Over the last decade, we have been buying 3 to 4 cars a year. What we've looked into doing at budget time was to begin to lease the rolling fleet for the whole village. This will enable us to do it at a reduced cost, less than 3 cars that are scheduled. We can replace roughly 10 of the oldest right off the bat, and we will, over time, over the next few years, we'll be able to get all of our cars to be newer, and that's going to create a cost savings because there will be more equity in them that we can keep rolling over against our lease payment. I have Jamie from Enterprise here today if you have any specific questions. But this is part of the budgeted plan. Instead of buying cars and keeping them, driving until their wheels fall off, we're going to bring in new vehicles and then trade them in every 3 years. Did I say that right? All right.
It's
I got
every
the thumbs
3
up
years?
from Enterprise.
You said every 3 years you turn it
Yeah,
in?
yes. And the whole idea is to trade them in while they still have a lot of equity in them. They can be turned around and sold, and that way that equity that we retain will reduce our future lease payments.
So after the 3 years, you wouldn't release that car, you would have to get another one? After the 3-year lease, do you
Is that correct?
So you can't, so it's very different than the dealer lease. We have flexibility with our terms. So we'll put it on the term that we recommend that makes the most sense at that time. At the 3-year mark, we'll have a conversation about writing these vehicles to a residual value to help with cash flow, and we'll provide you with all the information on what we can sell that vehicle for, what the equity would be that you retain. But the goal is to cycle these vehicles much quicker, so then it's better for cash flow through our open-ended lease structure, but then also you see significant savings in your operating expenses, the maintenance and fuel, and as Mr. Hood said, the equity coming back can go back into the fleet to help drive down the costs on the replacement vehicles.
Okay. So after the 3 years, and say we want to keep that, the payments would go down, the monthly payments would go down on that?
So, yeah, so you have that option. So if we're at the 3-year mark and there's a residual balance on the vehicle, you don't have to replace it at that point. There's nothing in our contracts that say that you have to do that. You can hang on to the vehicle for longer. You can just continue to make the monthly payments as you have until that vehicle's paid off. And at that point, if you want to just take title and ownership of the vehicle, you have that ability.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
What I like about it is that the maintenance part of the agreement, whereas if a vehicle has, needs a repair, it'll be covered, versus spending thousands and thousands of dollars. Cars are just as expensive as houses today.
Yeah.
So having that maintenance part of it, that's what I was looking at. I appreciate that part of it.
Is there a max mileage?
No. Yeah, unlimited mileage, no wear and tear penalties, nothing like that.
That's good. Thank you.
I could rack up mileage in 2 by 1 count.
Right.
Thank you all so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions from the board?
I don't know what everyone else was looking at, but I didn't see any attachments or any exhibits included in, as it stated it was in the legislation. Nothing was attached to it. So I don't see the government credit application Exhibit 1, I don't see Exhibit 2, none of those exhibits, unless I missed it.
Trustee Miller, if that's not included in the board package that I provided, that's totally my fault. I'll make sure that you get copies of all of that, because it was provided by the mayor and the attorney.
Can you please send it to everyone?
Oh,
Because I
definitely.
didn't get it
Most
either.
definitely.
Thank you.
I apologize.
Are there any other questions or comments?
No.
Hearing none, Mr. Clerk, can we get a roll call, please?
Yes, we can, Madam President. Trustee Abraham?
Yes.
Trustee Chamalave?
Yes.
Trustee Senior is absent. Trustee Shelby?
Yes.
Trustee Armour?
Abstain.
Trustee Miller?
Abstain.
And Madam President, this carries 3-0 with 2 abstentions. Thank you. Mayor, can I also have your vote on that one as well, please?
Yes.
Okay, yes, vote for the mayor. Thank you. 4-0 with 2 abstentions. Thank you. Next is item E, an ordinance amending Title 7, Chapter 4 of the Village Code regarding truck and/or trailer parking and disabled parking fines in the Village of Broadview, County of Cook, State of Illinois.
Motion to approve.
Second.
It's been properly motioned by Trustee Abraham, seconded by Trustee Chamalave. Madam President?
Thank you. Chief Mills, you want to tell us about this, this ordinance, and just before Chief Mills starts? So every quarter, we try to, either recommend a new, ordinance for the board for consideration of approval. This is one of those that's been on our books for some time, and as times change, we have to keep up with the times, and we have thousands of ordinances and resolutions on our record. So this is one of the ones that needed to be cleaned up. So Chief Mills, you want to tell us about it?
Yes, Mayor. Good evening again, Mayor and trustee. So this, as the mayor just explained, so this was something that Director Ames and myself, we were tasked to look into. As you all are aware, in our industrial area, we have a lot of large trucks that's parked there. You know, they do come through our village, things like that, and sometimes they cause damages. Now we're starting to see a few other things, and with the help of the village attorney, we looked at this ordinance and of course looked at other surrounding municipalities and how their fine systems are to include disabled parking for the handicap. And basically we just took some language out that protected the village and its right of way on certain streets where the trucks should not come down. You know, Director Ames and his public works team has signage, but of course truck drivers do what they want to do, and when they destroy, they really could care less. So this gives the my department, the officers, and even Mr. Hanna and his team, and Commissioner Upshaw, the ability to enforce the new codes that's out here, and if we have to take enforcement action, where the fines are, things like that.
Thank you, Chief Mills. Trustee Abraham, do you have any questions or comments?
No, none.
Trustee Malave?
No question.
Thank you. Trustee Shelby?
So this would change the fines to increase the fines from where they're at now, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. That's all.
Thank you. Trustee Armour?
Will this also include parking meters in the diagonal parking spaces? Because,
That's the
not
next
this,
one.
this is not that ordinance, trustee. We're not there yet.
okay. That's it. But we can come back to it when we get to it,
That's
right?
the next one.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Trustee Miller?
No questions.
Mr. Clerk, can we get a roll call, please?
Yes, we can, Madam President. Trustee Abraham?
Yes.
Trustee Chamalave?
Yes.
Trustee Senior is absent. Trustee Shelby?
Yes?
Trustee Armour?
Yes.
Trustee Miller?
Yes.
And this carries 5-0. Thank you all. Next item is item F, an ordinance amending Title 7, Chapter 4 of the Village Code regarding parking meters in the Village of Broadview, County of Cook, State of Illinois.
Motion to approve.
Second.
It's been properly motioned by Trustee Abraham, seconded by Trustee Chamalave. Madam President?
Thank you. Chief Mills, you want to tell us about this?
Yes, so as you all are aware, we have beautiful municipal lots here in the Village of Broadview, and Director Ames and his team has done a great job in putting signage everywhere in our diagonal spots and everything, and we entertain numerous vendors to help us with this process. So this was just more or less the end of that road to now. We looked at codes from other municipalities, Forest Park, River Forest, who all have parking meter enforcement. So we did not have any of that, so now we can start enforcing and pushing a lot of our parking into those lots. We did not, the parking meters have been operational, but we did not have an official ordinance in place. So with that being said, now we can do our messaging and we can roll it out and start recouping funds for parking. And I'm sure, if you all see, even our hours are from 8 in the morning to 2 at night. And, on the weekend, with our nice restaurants, the View, and everywhere else, you have parking everywhere. So this will help also with, we did in the budget to bring a CSO who will work those night hours to help us with that, so it's not all on the direct load of the police department. But again, like Trustee Abraham said, we're adding manpower to the police department to give some assistance, so this will protect us in enforcing those tickets.
That's great.
Thank you, Chief Mills. Trustee Abraham, do you have any questions or comments?
No questions.
Trustee Malave?
No question.
Trustee Armour? Trustee Shelby?
No questions.
Trustee Armour?
Okay, so will this also, will we be putting the parking meters in the diagonal parking areas of the village? Because it seems to me that even though we didn't have an ordinance in place in the parking lots that we've designated, and so I saw some cars in there, but I'm thinking, but it's really packed, especially on 17th Avenue, starting from Wednesday night, through Sunday. And it just seems to me that the meters should really go in the diagonal parking areas, because that's where people go to park, right? Because it's no charge for it. So to bring in some additional revenue, I was just going to encourage us to put those meters into where the diagonal parking is.
So in our research and meeting with all the various vendors and taking advice from a lot of the companies out there, so they really suggested we put the meters in our lots. We put signage there's signage all around our diagonal parking spots with QR codes. In all fairness, very few people actually pay anymore with actual cash. Everyone's doing the QR code. So there is signage up that'll give us the ability to enforce.
In the diagonal parking areas?
Yes.
Oh,
If you look
wonderful.
at this, yes.
Oh.
Direct Ames posted with the QR code and everything.
Yeah.
And as Ms. Jones
He
said,
must have
it
just
gives you
did
the
that
parking meter numbers and everything.
Oh, wonderful. Okay, so then we do have a system in that area to be able to
Yes,
generate
all
some.
of our diagonal
some
spots
revenue.
have the signage
Okay,
up.
perfect. Thank you. That's it.
Thank you, Trustee Miller.
I looked at the hours, from 5 a.m. to 8 a.m., there's no fee to park?
Right, so we have you have no overnight parking from 2 to 5.
From 5 a.m. to 8 a.m., there's
Yes.
no fee to park?
Correct.
Okay. I was just hoping we didn't miss
Yes.
that. All right, that was it. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk, can we get a roll call, please?
Yes, we can, Madam President. Trustee Abraham?
Yes.
Trustee Chamalave?
Yes.
Trustee Senior is absent. Trustee Shelby?
Yes.
Trustee Armour?
Yes.
Trustee Miller?
Yes.
And this carries 5-0. Thank you all. Next is item G, consideration of an application for a business license requested by H.F. Broadview LLC, doing business as Housing Forward at 1020 West Roosevelt Road to operate in the Village of Broadview, County of Cook, State of Illinois.
Motion to approve.
Second.
It's been properly motioned by Trustee Shelby, seconded by Trustee Abraham, Madam President.
Thank you. Mr. Hannah, can you tell us about this business license for Housing Forward? As you all know, that we did the ribbon cutting ceremony a couple of weeks ago, so now they're just applying for the business license to operate.
Hello again, everyone.
Hello.
Mayor and trustees. Exactly what the mayor said. We're seeking approval for Housing Forward to get their business license to be able to operate here in the Village of Broadview. I'll entertain any questions at this time.
Trustee Abraham, you have any questions or comments?
No comments.
Trustee Chamalave?
No questions.
Trustee Shelby?
No questions.
Trustee Armour?
Even though they're going to be operating here in Broadview with the rentals, what portion or percentage of those rentals is Broadview going to receive, if anything?
So it's housing. And so the bottom portion is the business part of it. They support a service, so they have wraparound services. That's the business that they conduct. So we won't receive any funding from this housing project. But they need a business license to operate, the nonprofit.
Okay, that's all I got.
Okay, thank you. Trustee Miller?
No questions.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Can we get a roll call, please?
Yes, we can, Madam President. Trustee Abraham?
Yes.
Trustee Chamalave?
Yes.
Trustee Senior is absent. Trustee Shelby?
Yes.
Trustee Armour?
Yes.
Trustee Miller?
Yes.
And this carries 5-0. Thank you all. Next is item 10, Village Clerk's Report. I don't have anything for this evening. Bringing us to item 11, Village President's Report, Mayor Katrina Thompson.
Thank you, and good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Just a few updates. Just please be informed that the village offices will be closed on Monday, May 27th, in observation of the Memorial Day holiday. I was in Springfield on April 17th and 18th, and then again on May 7th and May 8th. During my April visit, I attended the Illinois Municipal League Lobby Day at the Illinois State Capitol, where I engaged with legislators. I returned to Springfield on May 7th and 8th for the Drive Down to Springfield event with the West Central Municipal Conference. During this visit, I was invited by Representative Williams, Chair of the Environmental Committee, and had the opportunity to present our C4 initiative to the committee. Trustees, I just want to remind you that it's crucial that you check your emails regularly and respond in a timely manner to important information coming from my office or the clerk's office. Move with the Mayor begins on Saturday, May 25th, weather permitting, and our next regular board meeting is June 3rd, beginning our summer schedule. The regular board meetings will be the first Monday of the month until October. Thank you, good night, and God bless you, and I'll call for a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Can I have a second, please? Second. It's been properly motioned by Trustee Armour, seconded by Trustee Miller, to adjourn this evening's meeting. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Hearing no opposition, this meeting is hereby adjourned at 8:36 p.m.
Thank you, Mayor.
Everyone have a good evening. God bless. Good night.
Good night.